In 2026, the way we build houses in the UK is changing fast. I'm a site manager building 52 new houses, and today I'm showing you 6 of the most mind-blowing materials we're using right now. I'll break down what they are, how they're installed, and why we use them. Some of these you're really not going to believe, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Kicking things off right at the start of the build, this is Buildite insulation. Kicking things off with how we start building a new house, let's look at the foundation. We use a material called Buildite insulation, which is basically an all-in-one insulated system that makes the house better at retaining heat and being more sustainable. You see, on traditional houses, we would lose a lot of heat through the foundation. So this is a much better approach at maintaining that heat within the house, keeping that thermal comfort, and also being very energy efficient. Now you understand why we use it. Let me show you how we actually install it. We start with the ground and excavating the ground at the correct level, all ready for the foundation to be developed. Then we lay a blue DPC on top. The DPM has to overlay on top of itself with 150 mil. So if I was to take this top off, you would expect this DPM to be 150 mil past this line here, so it'd finish around here, all the way down, which is one of the things that I have to check. So I'm going to check this quickly, but the next part of the process is laying this blue DPM down. So then after we've laid the blue DPM, the next thing on the agenda is to lay what's called Buildite. Now, the detail for the foundations will change depending on what housing job you're on. But on this job, we install a thing called Buildite, which is almost a form of insulation. So we lay this Buildite down, and this will become the formwork for the concrete, as you'll see in a few steps time. But right now we've got all the Buildite behind me, so we'll set all this out correctly, all the ground workers will, all ready for part of the foundation to be poured a little bit on later. This is a perfect way to understand the foundation and the cool material we're using to create the foundations for new builds in the UK, especially on this construction site. So at the moment then, we have the white foam going around, which is the Buildite white insulation. Then we have the black DPC that goes on top, that gets taped all the way around. And then the metal then is the reinforcement that will reinforce the concrete when the concrete is poured. It will reinforce the slab. So it's a great image to see and understand the foundation for new builds looking at this. So this is 2 semi-detached houses. We've got a house here with the drainage and then a house there with the drainage. Finally, once we get to this point, it's just a matter of pouring the concrete, waiting it for set, taking the formwork off, and there is the finished foundation. And that is the first pretty mind-blowing material we use to build new houses in the UK. And following the process from the foundation, we then have the metal frame, which I would argue is a pretty mind-blowing material we are using to build new houses in the UK. There's a number of reasons why we use them. I went to a metal frame factory not long ago to see how they actually build the metal frame for these houses, and it's pretty mind-blowing. They start at a 3D model that gets designed all the way from the 3D model into off-site manufacturing, which means that it's higher quality, it's built to a better standard, which has a longer lifespan, and once it gets brought onto site, it's much simpler to install. It takes less time, and it's so much more airtight than a timber or masonry house. We can install it in all weathers, and the fact that it's so cost effective makes it an reasonable material to use. It only takes a matter of days to actually install it on site. It might blow your mind, so without further ado, let me show you how it's done. But before just that, if you are enjoying the video so far, please consider scrolling down and subscribing, because I'm a small channel and it means so much to me. Now let's get back to the video. So once the ground workers finish the foundation, they hand it over to the steel fixers, and then they can start doing their job on it. They mark out where the rooms are going to be, where the panels are going to fit. So you can see the panels have already been brought down to this part of the site.
Once ready, the installation process of the metal frame is pretty simple. We get the forklift to bring it down to the specific plot, and then the steel fixers pick up the metal frame panel by panel and fix it into the ground and into the adjoining walls, and this happens for the whole of the ground floor. Then we fit the joists, and then the chipboard flooring is ready to be installed. Once that's done, the same thing applies for the first floor.
All right, I hope you're coming to grasp with how quickly it takes from the steel frame to go from the ground to the first floor. It's really quickly, and this part of the job doesn't slow down either. I'm literally standing on the first floor of this house. I've got scaffolding wrapped all around me.
The scaffolding then goes up around the metal frame, and the steel fixers do the exact same thing on the ground floor on the first floor. And that is pretty much how the metal frame is completely installed. Finally, the last thing we have to do is install the white glass rock weather protection board that goes on the outside of the metal frame, which then the brickwork will connect onto.
The third most mind-blowing material goes hand in hand with the external white weather protection board that's installed onto the metal frame, which is the self-adhesive layer. Now, this stops water penetrating into the house at probably its most vulnerable point. Let me show you how it's installed, and it really benefits the next material that we're going to be using, and I'll show you that in just a minute.
So this is one of the many weird materials that we use to build new houses in the UK. It's what we call self-adhesive. It's also known as a blackjack, could be known as a water sealant. Basically, when we put this external weather protection board after the metal frame, water can still get in between the gap from the board and the foundation. So we put this on, connect it to the foundation, and bring it up over. So if it was to rain, the rain can get in between the gap and it's protected. So this is put on along the whole perimeter of the house, and it wraps all the way around, and it gives a good seal, and it stops water entering. Pretty much the same thing as an EDPM for the windows. So for this door then, we'll have EDPM from here, come back to the board and across to stop water coming in this gap. It's the same thing down here as well. The exact same principle applies. Okay, you're really not going to believe this, but the fourth and the fifth most kind of mind-blowing things we're installing on new builds in the UK is the sprinklers and the ductwork. Like, we have ductwork inside our houses, just like a commercial project, to make sure that we have good air quality, to make sure that every room is in a correct temperature, and also we got sprinklers to make sure that if there was a fire ever to occur, we can prevent the fire, we can prevent the spread of fire, and we can make sure that we live in a safer environment. There's a lot of hate on new builds at the moment, but honestly, these two things are really good. But in my opinion, these two things are super important to have in our houses. Let me show you what they look like inside an actual new build. You can't see this anywhere else. So what you've got then is ducts and sprinklers being installed, and they run through the joists of the metal frame. These holes, they run through with the holes made in the factory. So this metal frame is made in the factory, the holes are made in the factory, so all of this is designed before they're installed. Then the ductors and sprinkler fitters come onto site and fit them and feed them through the floorboards on new builds in the UK. And this is how the sprinklers look after they've been installed. So the plasterboard's been put up now, so you can't see the runt, however you can see the ends. You can see the cap end there, you can see the duct end there, the cap head for both the sprinkler and the duct in. So this is a lounge. If I walk through, then we've got another one in the hallway, sprinkler. We've got another one in the kitchen, a sprinkler, a duct, a sprinkler. Now you must understand that we are following Welsh regulations as we're based in Wales. So these houses are Welsh houses, and we have to follow the Welsh regs, which means that they have sprinklers. But yeah, they're one of the new things up and coming that we have to install, both ducts and sprinklers, and it's pretty cool to see on new build houses the amount of safety things that we put in place that make living more comfortable and ultimately safer, in a safer environment it's good. It's great. It's great to see.
And finally, the sixth most mind-blowing thing that we're installing on new builds in the UK are solar panels. This is pretty simple. A lot of people understand solar panels, but not a lot of people understand how they're actually installed. Well, let me show you.
Ever wondered how you fit extremely expensive solar panels on a new build on a roof in the UK? Well, let me show you. Once the solar panels are delivered to site, we get the telehandler to pick them up and bring them to the correct plot. So the boys have started off putting on the brackets for the solar panels. So that is the bracket with clips that the solar panel sits on. And then this is for water. So when water comes, it runs down instead of running into the felt, creating a sag and then leaking through the roof. So that is what they're doing right now. And they make good progress so far. Once complete, the solar panels can basically just clip onto the bracket, believe it or not. It's actually a lot simpler than a lot of people think. You just clip it on, connect the solar panel to the power line within the house, all ready to be connected up to the distribution boards inside. Once all done, the tiles can then go on, and that is how the solar panels are left. Looks really good if you ask me. Subscribe for more.
And those were the 6 most mind-blowing materials, things that we're installing on new builds in the UK in 2026. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please consider subscribing because I'm a small channel and it means so much to me. But thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.